Utagawa Hiroshige depicted a daimyo procession attempting to cross the Tamura River by bridge, just before Tsuchiyama-juku, beside Tamura Shrine. The distance from Sakanoshita-juku to Tsuchiyama-juku along the Tokaido was approximately 9.8 kilometers, but along the way travelers were suddenly confronted by the Suzuka Pass, known as a difficult barrier. Today it can easily be crossed by tunnel, but at that time travelers had to climb the steep mountain paths on foot. However, while winding slopes continued all the way up to the pass, the road suddenly became gentle once the pass was crossed, and after proceeding a little farther, a large stone Maninko Joyado lantern appeared, built to pray for the safety of travelers. It is said that upon seeing it, travelers felt relieved, thinking, "At last, we have entered Omi province." From here onward, the route descends along the Yamanaka River instead of the Suzuka River, and today, the enormous Shinmishin Expressway towers overhead. Proceeding farther, the road passes the Yamanaka-Ichirizuka milestone and goes through the Inahana settlement, where in the Edo period there had been a traveler's rest stop called a Tatiba. Once the Tokaido crosses the Tamura River depicted by Hiroshige, it finally enters Tsuchiyama-juku. After crossing the Tamura River, the road comes upon the approach to Tamura Shrine, shown in light green on the map. Turning left here, the Tokaido proceeds southwest with Tamura Shrine behind it. After crossing National Route 1 and proceeding slightly right at the end of the road, there is the Tsuchiyama-Ichirizuka milestone. Even today, this area strongly retains the atmosphere of the old Tokaido. Crossing a small bridge, one finally enters the long, narrow center of Tsuchiyama-juku, lined with inns and other buildings. Here, let us overlay a red gradient on the map to indicate the viewpoint from which Hiroshige likely painted. Now, let us look at Hiroshige's composition. A daimyo procession advancing through the rain is just about to finish crossing Tamura Bridge. 2 spear bearers and 2 box carriers have covered their belongings with rain protectors. The members of the procession wear green and red half raincoats and pull their hats down deeply over their heads. The Tamura River is depicted much narrower than it actually is, but we can still see that it rushes along as a swift current. The procession, the bridge, and the river are all boldly cut off in the lower half of the composition, and through this arrangement the open space beyond the crossing is strongly emphasized. The cracked earthen wall seen beyond is thought to depict part of a farmhouse that stood opposite the bridge guard station. Please note that the artwork used here is a second print. Even so, the black lines expressing the rain can be seen to have grown somewhat thicker as more impressions were made from the blocks. Deterioration can also be seen in the vermilion pigments. Furthermore, in the later impression, the gradient applied to the river flow becomes wide as it rises upward from below. Here is the first print. Although it was not selected this time because the focus was slightly soft overall, we can see that the river gradient is reversed compared to the second print. Let us also look at other second prints. Please compare the British Museum impression, which has a sharp appearance but somewhat faded reds, with the Metropolitan Museum of Art impression, where the color balance remains beautifully preserved. In the Isando Mishozu, which Hiroshige is said to have referenced, there is a scene depicting Tamura Shrine. Tamura Shrine stood on the border between Omi and Ise and had long been an important transportation point for travelers journeying from the capital to Ise Shrine. According to legend, demons appeared at Suzuka Pass and tormented travelers, and Emperor Saga ordered Sakano no Tamura Mero to subdue them. Here as well, by overlaying Hiroshige's viewpoint with a red gradient, we can begin to understand from where Hiroshige depicted this scene. This is the present-day road where the approach to Tamura Shrine overlaps with the Tokaido, with the shrine behind it. At that time, an official notice board stood here. This is a photograph looking back toward the main hall of Tamura Shrine. It is said that after the death of Sakanoshita no Tamura, Emperor Saga ordered that he be enshrined at this place, giving rise to Tamura Shrine. In the Reisho edition, the Yazu River at the western edge of Tsuchiyama-juku, then called the Matsuo River, and Matsuo Shrine beyond it are depicted. In the Gyosho edition, the daimyo procession approaching Suzuka Pass is depicted struggling through muddy and difficult terrain. In the poem edition, the Tokaido after crossing Suzuka Pass is depicted as a gentle slope and grassy easy-to-walk path. Finally, let us also look at Hokusai's 53 stations. Here, only wooden combs called orokugushi are simply depicted. Near the point where the Tamura Shrine approach ended, more than a dozen shops selling wooden combs once stood in a row. These were introduced by comb craftsmen from Shinju and became popular as souvenirs for travelers. Made from hardwood such as boxwood, they were luxury items of the time, and it is said that Tsuchiyama-juku prospered greatly from this trade. I actually visited the site. The wooden bridge depicted by Hiroshige was washed away in a flood in the early Showa period, but it was rebuilt in 2005. The new bridge was named Kaido Bridge after the Tokaido. Crossing this Kaido Bridge brings one to the approach of Tamura Shrine, and from there, Tsuchiyama-juku effectively begins. This is a photograph looking upstream along the Tamura River from the bridge. In the early days of the Tokaido, travelers crossed this downstream section on foot rather than by bridge. In 1775, local residents constructed a substantial plank bridge, and at that time the route of the Tokaido was altered to pass along the approach to Tamura Shrine. The wooden bridge, about 37 meters long and equipped with low railings, was groundbreaking for its time, and a bridge guard station was established on the north side, collecting tolls of 3 mon from each traveler and 3 mon per pack load. Today, on the eastern side, an official proclamation sign stands as if recreating the atmosphere of that era. Beyond it stretches the dense forest of Tamura Shrine. If we regard this Kaido Bridge as the bridge of Hiroshige's time and align ourselves with his composition, perhaps this is the kind of scene he saw. Using Google Street View, let us look a little farther ahead from around Kaido Bridge from an elevated perspective. The Tokaido passes through Tsuchiyama-juku, crosses the Yazu River, and heads toward the Koka region. Far in the distance, Mount Hiei can also be seen on the left. In fact, the Suzuka Mago Yuta song, which became famous throughout Japan through jewelry during the Edo period, contains the lyric, "The slopes shine bright, Suzuka grows cloudy, and rain falls in Ai no Tsuchiyama." This means that although the weather may be clear as far as Sakanoshita-juku on the Ai side, rain falls around Suzuka Pass and Tsuchiyama-juku on the Omi side. Hiroshige may have drawn inspiration from this song when creating this work.